Oh, I want to tell you 9 tips about things you probably can use if you're going on an interview. You can use this if you're going on the interview, whether it's over the phone interview, which we had to do since COVID-19. If you're a traveler and that's the only way we do interviews for the most part, is over the phone or even an in-person interview. This is not going to be everything that you need to know, but it will be something I think that you can use when you go on an interview. So let me pull up my other screen. Now you can find this information at a website that I created. It's called the number 9 tips, TIPPS .CARRD.co. I need to put this computer on something to stop moving because it's on my stomach and every time I talk, it moves. Okay. So I created these 9 tips. Now let's get to it. Now I want you to remember too, the interview is about, let me put this computer down right here because it keeps moving. Okay, so the interview is not just about them looking for a good fit for their department. It's also about you finding the place that you actually want to work at. Because it doesn't make sense for you to leave a place that's hell and jump right out the frying pan right into the fire. So you need to be there asking questions and have questions when you get there to see if you're going to end up with the same issues that you're leaving at your old facility. So you need to ask about teamwork if you're concerned about that. You need to worry about how do they get their IFUs if you're concerned about that. You need to understand, how likely is it for you to move up in in the department if you wanted to? Are there lead tech positions? Are there supervisor positions? What's required of these positions? Let them know, hey, you hungry and you trying to come in there and get it. And then you need to pay attention to the fact that are the managers in there nurses? So do you have to be a nurse to even be a manager? And if your goal is to be a manager, then that may not be the best place for you. But if they have a supervisor position you probably can get, then maybe that'd be an option for you. But those are things you need to find out before you go on these interviews, because you could end up going to a place that end up not giving you the growth that you require. Okay. So anyway, I put together this website and I'm going to refer to it because I have it opened up on another page. So I'm going to read from that as I talk to you. Now, one thing I wanted to point out too before I get through these numbers is it's important to be yourself. Now, they have these behavioral interviews or questions, and then they have these situational questions that I'd like to ask you. A lot of people ask them because they have to. I've been on several interviews where they be like, well, let's get through the questions that we have to ask, and then let's have a conversation. So they get that out of the way because that's a formality. I guess they have to turn into HR or whomever, and then they get to the real questions. A lot of people are looking for a good fit. They want to know if you fit into their culture. So you need to have interpersonal skills where you can just chill. You can just chill and just relax and be a human being. If you fit, you fit. If you don't, you don't. Who wants to go into a department where you don't even fit in? Well, it's already an issue with the fact that you're brand new. So you're already going to stick out like a sore thumb. You got to be smiling all day for like the first couple of weeks, all this smiling or whatever. But also on top of that, you don't even fit into their culture. It's always going to be cliques. It's always going to be people gossiping. It's always going to be drama. You know what I mean? But you want to kind of see how much are they able to circumvent that by whatever processes or procedures that they have in place, whatever ongoing training. Some places are really high on teamwork and they have training to facilitate that. And some places don't. They say, oh, we all about team and we all about this. You get in there and you find out they're not about shit. Okay. So let's get to number 1. Gather as much information as you can about the organization. Now, it's a bunch of ways you can do that. I have a website. It's called spdtravel.carrd.co. You go there, you click on the blue buttons. There's a bunch of buttons, but I made these specifically blue for you. You go on there and it has statistical information you can gather about a hospital. I think it should have infection rate and stuff like that, because for a lot of us, we're concerned about things like that too. Nobody wants to go into a department where they flashing all the time because their infection rate's going to be high. You know what I mean? Nobody want to go into a place that, JACO had issues with them, or the CDC, I'm not OSHA, then cited them a few times behind safety issues. You know what I mean? And you can also go to OSHA website and you can pull up information on OSHA about citations across the United States on all industries. You can always pull that information up if that's something that really concerns you. For me, I don't want to ever go nowhere else with ETO. Because in my experience, I get to places with ETO and nobody there know really what they're doing with ETO. Whether it's the monitoring, whether it's the process of the biologicals or how to handle the cartridges, it's just a hot mess. The signage that goes on doors and stuff like that, not there. Access to rooms that they shouldn't have access to rooms to. So that's something that you need to gather information on the hospital before you even go there. Also, you want to gather information on the person that you have an interview with. Now, you can go on, let me see what I have. You can do a Google search and see what comes up. You can probably find out they cray cray. You can go to LinkedIn. You can go to Facebook, Twitter, etc. Use your social media just like they use it on us to find out what you can about that manager. You can have a manager that turns up. You know what I mean? You never know. So you need to try to get all the information you can about the manager. Now, when you get on the interview, don't go in there talking about, oh yeah, I really did like that little. I see you have a poodle. I got a poodle too. And then the manager looking like, wait, how do you know I got a poodle? Now you looking like a stalker. I'm not saying do that. I'm just saying gather enough information so you can be more, personable. You can have a more relaxed, conversation, and you kind of know what kind of person you dealing with. If you going into an interview and you know somebody was a sergeant in the military, or a corporal or something in the military, then you probably need to go in there and make sure your shirt buttoned up and make sure that, you know what I'm saying, you kind of play that role necessary for them to feel comfortable. You know what I mean? Because when you go in interviews, you mirror that other person. So you just trying to get a feel of what kind of person you dealing with. I had a manager before when I worked at UCLA. She was about the book. It was black and white. So I knew that even when I worked with her, there wasn't going to be any unknowns because she always referred to whether Amy standards or she had the Isham book or what the CDC said. You know what I'm saying? So it wasn't none of her personal preferences or anything like that. So I knew how to handle her whenever I came to her with an issue. I need to be backing it up with data. You know what I mean? So that's how you deal with somebody perhaps in the military. If you're dealing with somebody else who, maybe be a cat lover. I don't know. They love cats or whatever. They may have a different type of disposition because they're into animals. You know what I mean? I think animal people are a little different. So then you know how to handle them. But don't go in there with that information like a stalker. And don't think because this information I'm telling you mean you're going to get a job. I don't want you hitting me up talking about you did all this stuff and you didn't get the job. I'm not saying that this is going to get you the job. I'm just saying these are just some tips I came up with. Here's another thing. This happened to me for real. Make sure you have something to eat before you go into the interview. I went into an interview and my stomach was growling. You do not want to be in the interview trying to make noise because your stomach is growling. So try to eat you something, but at the same time, be conscious of what you eat because you don't want to go in there with dragon mouth. So make sure your breath is not on fleek. Okay. Another thing too, I found this on the HuffPost.com. I know I was always been told to go to the interview, don't show up no earlier than 10 minutes. They're saying between 15 minutes. They say around 15 minutes. Don't show up to your interview earlier than 15 minutes. Mouth getting dry. Don't show up no earlier than 15 minutes because I don't know. I read different literature about this and they saying something to the effect where you don't want to interrupt their schedule or whatever they got going on. You kind of don't want to be a burden or a nuisance, or they be in a position where they feel like they need to hurry up whatever they're doing to get to you. I don't know. I usually don't. I usually show up to the area maybe 30 minutes early to relax, to see where I need to park, to find out, where's the entrance, how do I find a department? Every sterile processing department is not in the basement, so I try to get the logistics or whatever together before I even go in there. And I probably go hang out in the lobby and just sit there for a minute. But then I notify them that I'm ready no sooner than 10 minutes, no later than 5. No later than 5, and it depends on the size of the hospital, because in my opinion, if it takes them 5 minutes to get to you and 5 minutes to get back, once you sit down, you know what I mean, to me you're already late for the interview. So you want to try to get in there and where you can get started on time, because a lot of times they have other people coming behind you and I don't need them to infringe on my time because they're trying to rush me out of there because they have other people coming behind me. You feel me? I worked at a hospital when I was in Colorado. It was called Castle Rock um, Adventist Hospital. It was in Castle Rock, Colorado. And one thing I will say about them, that they tried to have the culture of team. So whenever we had anybody coming into our department to interview for a position, anyone who wanted to participate was able to come in there. Even up to when the director of surgical services was interviewing for the position. He was a traveler initially, and then they offered him the position. Do you know it was a newsletter that went out for everybody in the hospital? If they wanted to come in and be a part of that interview, you had the opportunity to do that. And they told you what slot that you fit in with your department, and you were able to come in there and listen to people ask him questions, him answer questions, and you were able to ask whatever questions you wanted to ask, and you were able to vote. on how did you feel how the interview went. It was an experience I have yet have duplicated. But then after that, I was kind of a traveler anyway. So of course you're not a part of that when you're a traveler. But anyway, I think that's very important to be as a tech being in on the interview. If the manager, because I've been a lot of places where you at work one day, especially as travelers, you at work one day and boom, somebody pop up and nobody know who the hell they are. Even the permanent techs didn't even know who the person. Like, who was that? Like, I don't know. And then during the huddle, oh, we want to introduce you to so and so, and it was like, okay, so you didn't even tell your team that you were possibly about to hire somebody, or that you even did this particular interview. They'll just say, oh, we're interviewing. Like, okay, a lot of managers, and I'm not saying all, but I'm saying a great number of managers don't come out there. They're not doing sets, and they're not doing lows, they're not in decon. They're not working with these crazy people that they hire sometimes. So it's very important for us to be in there on the interview to see if they click with what we got going on. Not just leadership, not just the supervisor, the lead tech. Techs need to be in there, because sometimes the techs be so the lead techs and the supervisor be so caught up with what they got to do. Guess who end up training them? The ones that's not designated as a lead tech or a supervisor and not getting paid for it. Okay. Another thing too is how you dress for the interview. Even though we wear scrubs or whatever all day, please do not come in there with, well, let me see. I gotta move this around. Let me open up this, because I know I talked about not coming in there with sandals, jeans, tennis shoes, hats, nose rings, a whole bunch of cologne, makeup, and please brush your teeth. That's important, because I've seen a lot of people have come in on interviews with like cowgirl boots, jeans. They just look like they were just maxing and relaxing. I think it sends the wrong message. You want to show them that you're able to be compliant. You know what the rules are, you know what the expectations are, and you're able to adhere to them. So you need to go in there looking like you coming to get her position or his position, the manager position. Don't scare them now. Because you got some of them, some leaders in them leadership roles, they not ready. And they are definitely trying to avoid people who may be a threat to them, when they come in there for the interview. If you seem too highly qualified, or you talk that talk too well and they don't know what you're talking about. I had a phone interview with a manager. It was a travel position. And I asked her what kind of sterilizer she had. And she said, you talking about those big things that's hot? I said, oh, Lord, have mercy. Yep, it was in Memphis. I passed that one up. There's no way I'm going to a department where the manager does not know what the autoclaves or the sterilizers are. They're not familiar with the machines they have in a department. Okay. Okay, so that was number 3 with the clothes. Number 4, have your resume. Have a resume for you to refer to in case you get lost. A lot of times you inside that interview, you're going to get nervous. You're going to forget stuff that you meant to say that you didn't get to say. And then you want to have something for them to be able to refer to too as they speak with you. It's also a great opportunity for you to have notes on there for maybe certain things you want to speak about, or certain things you want them to know about you. Like, oh yeah, by the way, I'm in school for leadership. Or, oh yeah, by the way, I volunteer for this, or I volunteer for that, or whatever it is you think that's going to set you apart from everybody else. Because that's what it's all about, setting yourself apart from everybody else and using those keywords that they're looking to hear: patient care, rules, regulations, JCO, Amy, AARM, ISHA, all these regulatory agencies, all these professional organizations that you can sit up here and speak to, and really speak to it. Don't go in there trying to BS them now and saying certain things and not making any kind of sense. I'm not saying doing that, but I'm just saying if you up to par, then that's how you should fall up in there. Now, if you are a new tech and you don't really, it happened to me. My first job was at UCLA Medical Center in Santa Monica. Parasitic acid, she was asking me different ways to sterilize or process or high level disinfect instruments or whatever. And I mentioned everything I knew about. I knew about ETO. I knew about, the Sterad or what have you, the hydrogen peroxide. I knew about steam, and then I said, I couldn't even pronounce parasitic acid. And she corrected me or whatever. So she kind of laughed about it, but I got the job because I was certified. I didn't have no experience. I went through a training program in Long Beach, California, and they sent me through I worked at Long Beach Memorial Hospital for about, how long was that training program? I think it was like a month of classroom training, and then we did our 400 hours right behind it. And about a week later, I got certified. So when she saw that certification, she was like, oh yeah, I got called. I applied for UCLA like on a Monday. I promise you, that morning I made it to the gym, got on the treadmill, and she called me. I jumped off. That's how fast I got called. When I got hired at UCLA, people were trying to figure out, like, how did you get in here? Like, this is a hard job to get. Do you know somebody? I'm like, no, it was a certification. That's all I'm gonna say. The certification helped me out too when I decided to get the CHL and the CIS when I started traveling. I went from no travel experience to nothing but interviews. And I see a lot of people saying that they cannot get the interview. It has a lot to do with your resume, and it has a lot to do with your accomplishments. Because when you put in that resume, there's nothing, the resume has to speak for itself. You can't speak, but when you get that interview, that's when you're supposed to kill it. The interview, the resume gets you the interview. The interview's supposed to get you the job, is what I'm telling you. So I give you some information on resumes as well, how I built my resume too, because I try to put all the things they want to hear and all the keywords that picks up on whatever little algorithms that they got going on, so that they can pull your resume straight to the front if they still using that type of software or whatever to acquire resumes. Another thing too you need to think about, it's not even a number. Like I said, it got side notes on here. Another thing, clean up your social media. If you was ratchet and you were doing all kind of ratchet stuff, you probably need to just stop it. They say once it's out there, it's gone. But I don't know. Maybe you can delete your Facebook and start you a new Facebook. But you, a lot of times they looking on social media to see what we're doing, if we turning up, if we drinking. You know what I'm saying? It's apple juice. Who knows what this is? But what I'm saying is, you don't need to give them a reason to exclude you from the potential candidate pool. You feel me? So you're not trying to do that. um your email, make sure you got an email, not juicybooty.com or juicybooty@gmail.com. You're not trying to do any of that. Something simple with a number and your name. If your name is just not available, then add a number to it, but make it clean, make it professional, and get rid of all that other stuff that you were doing. You feel me? Because people will find so many reasons to not interview, or a bunch of reasons to see how you're not like them, because a lot of people are interviewing people and they're looking for people just like them. Another thing, when you're in the interview, make sure you ask questions. Ask questions about the department, because you want to let them know that you're interested. I have not asked really particular. I have asked particular questions to the interviewer. I asked them how long they've been there. I would ask them, like, how long you been there, and what do they actually like about working there? What brought them joy? Because I run into quite a few people who's been somewhere for 15, 20, and 30 years, and I'm like, wow, that's impressive. So this must be a good company. What do you like about it? What do you like about the position? What do you see next? And I let them know I'm there for mentorship. I'm looking for a mentor. I'm looking to grow. So I make sure I ask questions. I always try to have at least one or two questions, unless the interview then got to the point where I'm like, yeah, I'm not about to work with these people. I don't have any questions because I really don't care. To just keep it 1,000. Number six, what you need to do is ask for the business card, because once you get the business card, you're able to use that email address and follow up with a thank you letter or thank you email for them even having an interview with you. That's an extra touch that will definitely set you apart from everybody else. I always do the follow up with that, even jobs I don't even get. And then some people even suggest that if you do not get the job and they pick somebody else, I think there's a questionnaire or a checklist or something, a couple of questions that you can ask to find out what could you have done better, or why, not saying, well, why you didn't choose me, like that's messed up. No, kind of, let them know that you're doing this to try to improve yourself to be even better candidate in the future, and try to get from them, like, what could you have done better. You know what I mean? Because every job is not for everybody, for real. I can go on about that too. All right, number seven, I think I had mentioned it kind of earlier. Be prepared for those behavioral questions, those situational questions. The reason why they doing the behavioral questions, first of all, everybody know they want to see if you cray cray. They want to see if you are able to work with other people. Also, they ask you that question, tell me about yourself. It's a trap. Don't start telling them about, oh, I like to make cookies on the weekend. And unless you're going out there feeding the hungry, or you're doing some kind of philanthropy or something like that, nobody really cares what you do. This is how I usually do it. I tell them where I'm from. I used to say, yeah, I'm where I'm from. And I made a connection one time with a manager. She was from California too. So I'm like, oh yeah, I'm from here. Whoop, whoop, whoop. And then I get right into how I started sterile processing. So I give them a little bit about me, because you need to be personable. So I'm like, yeah, I started in California. I used to be a bus driver too. So I used to be a bus driver, and then the opportunity came up with, the U.S. Department of Labor, and bam, 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 and I was in there, and then I go from there. I don't get into really what I like to do unless they ask me specifically, what do you do for fun? I'm not gonna say, oh, I'll put together neural sets for fun. No, I let them know what I do for fun. because a lot of times they really are trying to get to know you. Um, and they also want to know if you're a team player. Are you a team player? Can you think quick on your feet? Can you troubleshoot? Let me tell you this. All you have to do is go to Google Sterile Processing job descriptions. You can, even if you're employed right now, you can get that from HR, the job description. Look in there and look at those keywords of what you do, and that's what you talk about, how well you're able to do it. We deal with regulations, we deal with process, we deal with verification. We check records, we check printouts from the sterilizer, we do high level disinfection. So we got to, you know what I'm saying, dip the stick in there to make sure that it's active. We do dates, we do rotations, we do case. You have to look at it like that. It's every little piece that you do that is especially transferable skills and skills that show that you're competent, you're able to communicate, you're able to follow rules, you're able to think on your feet, you're analytical. Those are the things you need to let them know. And then number 8, when you don't know, you don't know. Don't go in there bullshitting these people. I don't even know how to bleep that out, but don't go in there doing that. When you know, you know. When you don't, I'm gonna tell you, this is the best thing to do. They ask you a question that you really don't have an answer for, instead of just sitting up there trying to conjure up something and not make any sense, be like, you know what? I don't really know what I would do in that situation. I've never been there. However, I know I got a team lead, a supervisor, or a manager. I know I got SPM. I know I got one source. You know what I mean? I know I got ST79. Tell them all the places you can go to get the answer if you don't have the answer. But don't sit up there and try to BS these people, because then they say, oh, yeah, she's full of it. Nobody needs a gamer in their department. You're dealing with patient lives. Who needs a gamer or somebody that's going to circumvent rules? You feel me? So yeah, keep eye contact. This is not another. This is not a number. Keep eye contact because we're getting close to 9. Keep eye contact with them, but don't stare them down like you're crazy. Make sure you blink. Don't be just sitting up there looking at them, because trust me, you're not gonna make it. Because I don't want anybody that, for instance, now it happened to me. I was on a contract, and it was me and another girl. We used to work side by side with each other, and every now and then we'll look up, and there go the lead tech. They call them coordinators, I think. There go the lead tech, like off in the cut, looking at us, peering through the window, or coming from the side of a beam or something, or behind a rack full of sets. It was crazy. Like, she just stared at us like, okay, who interviewed her? So yeah, give them eye contact, but blink, look away, look down, but don't just seem like, you searching for answers or whatever in the room, or you just don't know. But at the same time, don't stare them down. Here's a good one too. Number 9, watch your body language, the position of your feet. If you're crossing your arms, um, avoid playing with your clothes, your pen, fumbling with a paper, things like that. Try not to do too much. Try not to space out too often if you can. Let them know that you're nervous. You know what I mean? I did that many times. At the beginning, I'm like, I'm a little nervous. And that kind of breaks the ice. That let them know, okay, she may fidget, and they know what nervous look like. You're not being interviewed by children. You're being interviewed by people who have been interviewed. So they've been on the other side of the table. So they know what nervousness look like. So let them know, hey, I'm nervous. You know what I mean? So I may make some mistakes here because I'm really uptight and I'm really excited about being here and I really want this job. You know what I'm saying? So it's good to do that. Also, when you communicating, because it's body language is communication. So if you're sitting on your edge of your seat, like you really into what they're saying. I did this before. I was at an Alabama. This is a job I'm supposed to go to soon, and I was very interested in what they were saying about those one trays. Oh my God, I kind of just, I was on the edge of my seat almost. Like, I really wanted to hear, like, are you guys about to implement it? What do you think about this? What do you think about that? I'm like, okay. So I was very interested, but don't get so comfortable where you're on the edge of your seat. Now you're leaning on their desk, or now you're sitting up close next to them, because some people interview right next to you instead of being up on, across the desk from you. So don't be where you damn near sitting in their lap, but let them know, show with your body language that you're interested. Sure, and take notes. I take notes. I've never been told not to take notes. If it's wrong, let me know. But I take notes. I take notes of information that they give you, because they give you a lot of information. So I take notes of the key information I think that's important for me to know. And then a lot of times, then all that's on my resume on the backside. And then on the backside, that's where I have my questions or whatever too. So I just have one sheet that I flip back and forth. And then I said that as a side note, it says it's okay to practice interviewing, like you're doing mock interviews, but do not overthink it. Just know you are right for the position, even if you're not right for the job. You can go in there, child. I've been on interviews ready for the situational, the behavior, and all that other stuff, and you get in there and it was just a conversation. So you never know. So, anyways, that's my tips. I told you where I can find it. Now I'm about to log off so I can figure out where how to upload this because I'm not good at any of this. How to upload it, get it on Facebook, and then I'm gonna leave this YouTube video on YouTube because I'll be here all day trying to figure out how to put it on my website. But I hope this information was useful. If you find any other information that you would like me to find out about or create a list for, I'll do that. I'm gonna try to do this at least at the minimum once a week. I'm gonna come up with 9 because I can come up with 9. But anyways, you guys have a great day. Be safe and peace.